get involved in the show. Folks, we get going here with topic number one. Topic number one, like we mentioned, we're going to start off with F1, and anybody who's an F1 fan knows about the race that Lewis Hamilton had over the weekend. He wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. He was back to 10th in the grid, came back, unbelievable drive by Lewis Hamilton. Not that we don't expect it, but still, even for Lewis Hamilton, fantastic race. Brandon, what'd you think of your guy, Lewis Hamilton, over the weekend?
I mean, this is just another notch on the belt for him win-wise, obviously, in the career. But this is his 6th win this season, and it came at a much-needed time in the championship to be able to fight back and cut Max Verstappen's lead. But I'll tell you what, I believe this is just another, reason why Lewis Hamilton is the greatest driver of all time. And I think he proved it not just only on Sunday, but he proved it on Saturday and Friday as well, since we all know it was the last final sprint qualifying weekend. So on Friday, I know some people are going to say maybe his wing was illegal, but still had to go out there, drive the car, put it on provisional pole for the sprint race. Then that's when the drama all really started, with obviously Max Verstappen going over and touching his wing under parc ferme conditions, which we're going to talk about next. But then Red Bull complains, has it bumped up to the stewards. The stewards look at his wing and deem it illegal, deem his wing illegal. And here's what Mercedes is saying. Mercedes said when they put the car on the track, it was legal. It met regulations. When it came off the track, even by their standards, it was illegal. So, and they're not notching it up to them cheating or anything even close to that. What they're saying is that they had a mechanical failure on their wing, and specifically with the DRS system. And that was what happened, that the wing failed, and it failed inspection. Now, Toto Wolff, what a genius, has talked about how Red Bull has pretty much been having issues with their wing for the last 3 or 4 Grand Prix and is changing wing parts under parc ferme conditions. So it was like, what was new? What was different than that? So a lot of questions going around underneath that, obviously with the Red Bull complaint as well. But the stewards haven't even given Mercedes their wing back yet. So Mercedes haven't been able to actually analyze exactly what went wrong or what failed. So they're hoping to do that soon. But they've also got the review coming up tomorrow that I know we're going to be talking about next week on the incident with Max Verstappen. And I'm sure that wing's going to come up in that talk. But Lewis Hamilton got disqualified there, had to start dead last on the grid in the sprint race. We're talking about 20th place. There's nobody else behind you there at that point. And he had one of the best drives I've ever seen. Even though it was only a 24-lap sprint race, he made 15 overtakes in 24 laps. So that is amazing. That's almost like an overtake a lap. Just absolutely setting him up and destroying him there, especially on the straights at Interlagos, where that Mercedes was just absolutely loving itself on those straights. Looking forward to seeing that in some of the upcoming races as well. But then on top of that, hey, takes the 5-place grid penalty to go for this feature race because he took some new engine parts. So realistically, serves a 25-place grid penalty, still comes back on Sunday, has an amazing drive, carving his way through that top 10. When he gets to Max Verstappen, actually makes a great, legit pass, obviously the second time, since Max Verstappen wanted to run him off track on the first attempt. But Lewis did a great job showing patience and just attacking 11 laps later and making sure he got the move done before they even got to the turn. So Max Verstappen had no chance to defend. Lewis comes back and just drives away at that point to win the race, win the Sao Paulo GP, as it's called now. But just an absolute masterclass of a drive by Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I think one writer, I forget what site it was on, said it best. He, like you just mentioned, he made up 25 places in 2 races, essentially. You know, he got jacked back to the 20th spot in qualifying and then got up to 5th. And then, you know, for the race, or 6th rather, and then the race itself, he had to jump back 5 spots to 10th and then went on to win. So he got 15 spots in qualifying, and then he jumped up 10 in the actual race to pick up the podium. So just to, like you mentioned, like that's almost unheard of. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, I don't even know if Verstappen could do that. You know, however you feel about Verstappen, he's an incredibly talented driver, but Lewis Hamilton just has this different gear in him, no pun intended, to do this kind of thing. You also look at the standings too. He was down by 21 points to start the race. Now he's only down 14. Even though Verstappen came in second, you know, he cut that lead down. If Hamilton had not finished first and if Verstappen had won this race, it's over. It's over. Season's over. Like Verstappen wins the title. Now there's still, with 3 races left, there's still time left for Hamilton to catch up to Max Verstappen. It's going to take a lot, but Hamilton, we know, can do it. So he needed this. He needed to win this race, despite, like we just mentioned, having to jump ahead 25 spots to win, essentially over 2 races. He did it, and he had to do it. It's just one of those. It's almost like Brady against the Falcons, where it's 28-3. And you make the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. It's almost like Lewis Hamilton just did that in F1. Not quite as high as stakes, but almost right there, because he just saved his season. So I think that was the most important thing to me, was, the stakes of the standings there. And when it came down to nut crunching time, Hamilton was the guy that we all know who he is.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, crunch time at this point, have to win, have to make it happen. Well, maybe not have to win, but you have to get in front of him and finish ahead of him to keep your championship going. But he goes in, wins the race. 2 other drivers that just gave him nods were Charles Leclerc, saying that wasn't just the car and the straight line speed doing that. That was one of the greatest drivers of all time, Lewis Hamilton, pulling overtake after overtake on us. And then Lando Norris came out and said, man, this guy is in a whole different field. And he was like, if he keeps doing that, I'm going to have to suggest that he drives on 3 tires some more. And so Lando Norris just saying that he was getting outclassed no matter what. And I think he's also making a reference back to that 3-tire win last year in 2020 that Lewis Hamilton had at Silverstone. So just a great drive across the board from Lewis Hamilton. And like I said, that Mercedes with its top end speed now going into the next 3 tracks is looking like it's definitely going to be a contender. And the fight is still on for this championship. But let's move on to topic number 2.